Are you looking to build influence? Or maybe to drive more traffic? But bottom line, you want to change the game. You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Business Building Book Club. We're going to give you the tools you need to succeed, both online and in person. Brought to you by Coach Molly and Three Pines Leadership. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Business Building Book Club. I'm your host, Coach Molly from Three Pines Leadership and visibilityhacking.com. And as per usual, my friends, I am so glad you're here. This episode, it's time for another conversation. So I've brought on board another fantastic expert that I am so excited to introduce to you guys. So last week we talked about the actual script that Russell uses for his Epiphany Bridges. And I promise you guys, when you start putting these in place in your business, you're going to see a massive change. It's the way that we tell stories, and stories are how we build deep relationships and how we separate ourselves from everyone who's just doing their internet marketing as a side hobby or a side hustle. We're quitting our jobs. We're turning this into our full-time income. And these are the strategies that literally will do that for you. If you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to get deep and vulnerable into why you're actually doing what you're doing and solving the problems for your dream customers, these scripts, these strategies, these secrets are going to change the game for you. And I'm not just going to tell you all about that myself. Our guest is also going to attest to that. So I'm not going to introduce you. Who are you and what do you do?
Well, hi, I am Heather Hargrove. Basically, I live my best life. I help people grow their business. I do a lot with business strategy when it comes to automation. I help with accountability and then giving them action steps so they can actually do stuff. And then it goes over into their marketing strategy and stuff like that as well. But basically, people like coming to me to tell them what to do so they can do what they do best, right? Like we all have our thing that we do best. So you do that. When I came into this world, I didn't know anything about marketing. I just dove right in. Like I came from a world of I don't even know. I joined Facebook because my parents did. So when I started, it's I didn't have anything. I did sales, logistics, and stuff like that. But I learned that side of the business because Russell told me to. And I did, and I loved it. And you go after what you love. So I find people that have their skill set that don't have this side of it, and we kind of match up, and I help them grow and automate and get them out there selling themselves.
Oh, that's fantastic. And who do you work with?
Myself. Oh, sorry. So me. No, business coaches. Mostly it's so what you're gonna realize, well, you know this. Your target audience, you try to niche down. I like working with women because women, I just like them better.
We're a good group.
They do stuff. So my messaging is geared towards women. However, men do find me and they want to work with me, and I'm not gonna, if it's a good fit, I'm not gonna turn it away. I'm still gonna let it go. So, but mostly it's online coaches, course creators, and digital agencies tend to be my main market. People that just need different processes put in place, that automation aspect and stuff along that line. But yeah.
Awesome. How has automation changed your business?
Frees my time up. I don't want to work in my business every day. I didn't start this to end up working 40 plus hours a week for myself. I like to do stuff. I'm more of a lifestyle entrepreneur. So it's not oh my God, I have to grind every day. It's okay, how can I work smarter, not harder? And we have so many tools out there. It's just implementing it. It's not learning how to do everything. It's finding the who's to get, to do that for you and to get it going. So yeah. And then plus it's fun to talk about. My eyes light up when I talk about it. So it's that energy thing that you get when you discuss something. It's oh, so this is what you're currently doing. Okay, great. How can we streamline this? How can we automate it? Oh, so we can take you out of this. We can add this form here, and then we can do that, and then we can send it to Zapier and have it send a text message, and their faces are wait a minute, what now? I'm don't worry, I got you. But yes.
Yeah. And it totally allows you or me as an entrepreneur, for example, to free up my time so that I can focus on serving my people at the best level possible with my strength, my talents, my passions. And then you get to do all the stuff that I don't have time to learn. I don't have the energy. I might not even have the resources or the timeline available to go through that learning curve. So instead, it's like, I like to think of it as, do you remember the show Captain Planet?
Oh my God, yes.
Okay. Love Captain Planet.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So for those of you listening at home, Captain Planet is this super awesome superhero, right? Like, who saves the world. And he works with these kids from all the different continents, and they each have these power rings. And for a while in my childhood, you could be the lucky owner of a power ring or 5 of them from your local cereal box. But these power rings that these kids had, they would all, you ignite them together and they light up, and then they summon Captain Planet. So it's the idea that together we each have our individual strengths, and when we come together, we are so much more than the sum of just our parts. And together, that working with you, for example, will free me up to have more time to spend serving my people, or more time serving myself and my family. And then it allows you to get excited about a new project that gets your power going. And then together, you level up your business in so many different ways when you work with someone like you. Yes.
It's so much fun. Like, and it's crazy because I learn. So like for me, they always say like niche down, right? It's like niche down. So I pick one thing and go. I'm like, okay, like no, because I like learning everything. And that's just the way I've always been. Like, I've worked in places before, and I go in, and this is the way I'm a holistic. I go in and I don't change right away. I'm like, how are you currently working today? So I've done this with like employers before. I've worked myself out of jobs before because I've automated the process. I didn't even know what I was doing back then. I just happened to do it. And I just kind of take a look around and be like, okay, where can we start to streamline? But I'm like, I always like to pick up the new things. So I always have times where I get to learn new skills. I like to learn the different aspects. And then for me too, it's like, I just know if I need to bring in somebody to help with that, I'm going to hire somebody, but I'm not a director to that. So I niche down on my avatar, the people that I want to work with, but not my skill set. So it's not like, oh, this is the only thing I know. I know all this, but this is who I know it for. So it kind of helps out in that direction.
Yeah. And I find that all the coaches are going to tell you, you got to niche down, and then you're not competing against anyone. But then I know in my own journey with my business, I was like, well, I have this skill and I have this skill and I have this skill. Why do you keep telling me just to focus on this one? Why can't we find a way to incorporate them all? That, my friends, is really how you separate yourself, is tapping into your own talents, your strengths, your passions, the things that energize you and excite you, putting those together, packaging that is your niche. That is your skill set. That is what separates you from everyone else. Oh, I love it. I love it. Did you ever go through the experience of actually hard niching down in that way that felt uncomfortable?
That was when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Because when I happened, okay, so this is going to kind of be like the Epiphany Bridge story, right? So the backstory, I happened to be working for a software development company, and I was at a conference. And the conference happened to be in Nashville at the Gaylord the same time as Funnel Hacking Live, by happenstance. So me, I'm walking around, there's so much energy, it was hype. So I go and I start talking to somebody, I'm like, what is this for? And they tell me, and of course I go back to my room and I Google it, and there's Russell Brunson. And it's like, okay, and once you meet Russell Brunson, I always apologize to people when I introduce him to them, because I'm like, listen, your world's gonna change. Just beware. It's gonna happen. Just go with it. It's fine.
There's the before
so I'm sorry in
and
advance.
the after time.
I'm sorry in advance, but this is gonna take place. But yeah, and then 2 months later, quit my job. Still had no clue. I was not a social media person. And I was like, okay, Russell says I can do it, so I'm going to do it. So 2 months later, quit my job, did the One Funnel Away challenge. Started a little bit with affiliate marketing, but still was kind of on the software, software as a service. So I was trying different things. My best friend was supposed to leave and jump with me. She did not. She decided to take another job. So it's here I am by myself. I'm like, okay, so now I'm not working. I'm trying to figure this out on my own. What do I want to do? And you see what different people are doing. And that's when you squirrel a lot. You start to scroll. You're like, oh, I'm going to try that. Okay, no, but they say I can do it. And then no. So eventually I was going to try to do like a testimonial based software, like helping people get reviews so they can da-da-da. I was like, okay, great. Like, here's the platform I'm going to use. I paid somebody to try to build out a WordPress site for me. All the meantime, I'm not publishing. I'm not comfortable in front of the camera. I don't know how to sell myself. That was the uncomfortableness for me. I was like, how do I do this? Like, how do I, like, you have to sell stuff. Like, how do I do that? And then the WordPress site got done. It was garbage. I didn't like it. I trashed it. I don't even have it. Like, it was like, I was like, I don't even want this thing anymore. I didn't like the review platform that I was using. I'm like, I don't even want to offer this as this. I was like, not excited about it. So it's a big thing, like turnover, right? And then got back into affiliate marketing, started doing that. And that was the best way for me to start, because having somebody else's product that you can sell, got into high ticket affiliate marketing. And that was like the game changer for me. And it got me really comfortable with networking online. TikTok was what brought me in front of the camera. My daughter got me on TikTok, and that's what changed my like video aspect. Now I love it. And that was like I was like, I have to sell. I don't know how to sell. My daughter's like, here, get on TikTok, try this out. Started doing that, started making videos. And I was like, videos is where it's at. Like, I can just like talk, and I don't have to write like a sales script, and I can just like connect with people. That was where everything changed for me. Videos and publishing videos. Like Russell says, publish during LFA. I tried podcasting, like just regular audio. I sucked at it. Like 3-4 episodes I quit. But the video stuff, I was like, this is the game changer for me. Like, this is fun, and I like talking to people because I like face-to-face networking. Yeah. And then so then just kept going with publishing via videos, doing the affiliate marketing stuff, and then just in talking to people, seeing the way that they light up, I was like, oh, like I know stuff now. I was like, I know things that people want to pay me to help them to do, and I already knew how to sell high ticket. So I was like, I'm going to start selling myself high ticket. And then the big transformation was me learning to sell before I made stuff. And that's what I'm teaching people now too. They're like, Heather, no, but I have to have my business plan and put this all together. I'm like, if you don't just go out there and start selling your stuff, I am going to come over there and find you. Because I'm like, what if they don't want it? So like, if I would have started selling the review stuff before I started worrying about the WordPress site, to make sure I liked it, to make sure that I had an actual market for it, it would have been a whole different experience. Yep. So now I sell things and then I make them, and it's great.
I remember when I got into this world, and I think it was Steve Larson who always gives the advice, sell before you make the course, right? I was like, that is so backwards. It makes no sense. And I come from the world of like, I'm a teacher. So like I create lesson plans and I have objectives and all of that. So it was this idea of selling before you create the thing, which made no sense. But now that I do it, it actually makes that teacher part of my brain so much happier, because instead of trying to come up with objectives to teach someone out of the blue, you're actually creating a product based on solving the problems of your actual customers, the customers who have paid you already, instead of like, oh, I'm trying to attract these people. And it made no sense in the time. It made absolutely no sense when I was first hearing this. But I promise you, you people listening at home, I bet it feels backwards to you too. But we're both here to tell you, it feels great on the other side.
It is so good. And that's like, I just did a podcast interview with somebody else. So he's a veteran, and he was interviewing me, and he was talking about his thing that he was going on with like cards, like actual like not Hallmark cards, but cards. And I was like, oh, so like, when are you gonna? He's like, yeah, I'm finishing up my business plan. I'm like, wait a minute, what? So he's actually started. So I got him on board. So he actually started just doing some promotional visual stuff. And he's like, yeah, I have so many people say they want it. He's like, I'm gonna go make I'm gonna take some time, go make them. I'm like, no, like make people put up their money and show that they really want it. Because even people showing interest in something is different than them purchasing it. So take them on the journey with you. See, like, hey, like for me, like, hey, I'm thinking about making a course about this. Who's interested? Great. Okay, great. Like, why do you want a course about this? What do you need? Like, let them go on the journey with you, so that way once it's done, it's exactly what they want.
And
It's so much fun.
it gives your client the opportunity to have ownership in the final product. And that way they're taking on the identity of like, I helped build this. And the
Hmm.
trick is, my friends, the psychological trick that's happening is they are once they buy into this identity or buy into this ownership of something that they've helped create, they are far less likely to turn their back on that. They're far less likely to leave that email, like leave your emails unread in their inbox and never access your course. Instead, because they've helped develop the units, you've literally asked them, what is your number one question when it comes to whatever it is you're building your course on? Now let's actually answer those questions for you. They are going to be diehards. They are going to fly your flag. They are going to be evangelists for your brand and for your product. And you can't even pay someone enough to do that if you,
Right.
unless you serve them at that level. I love it.
Hmm. And it's funny because he was even telling me, he's like, yeah, I was talking to my banker friends about what you said, and they were like so confused, and they're like, why? Don't do that. And I'm like, listen, banks have you put together business plans so you can borrow money and cross your fingers hoping that your business works out. We don't play that game.
And banks do it too. Like, yes, if you're asking for money, they're going to make you put up a business plan. But if you're buying insurance from someone, you're paying for something before the service is required.
Yeah.
I used to work. I'm a very proud former Blockbuster manager. I'm very much a child of a certain era.
Hey, listen, I grew up going to Blockbuster. I remember those Friday nights were on point.
Exactly. Like, best experience ever, because it taught me how to sell something before they actually buy the experience. And you can't return that experience. So you have to be able to tell that story. You have to be able to connect emotionally to your customer. You need to know what their pain points are, what their problems are. And in the fact of like movies, you want to know what they're interested in, what's going to excite them, what's going to help them level up in whatever area you're looking at. So movies, what's going to level up their Friday night? Well, it's the new Batman flick, let me tell you. Like, we had walls of Batman. It was great. And then when you do that, when you learn how to sell an experience before they actually have it, it's fantastic. So stop looking at your products, my friends. Stop looking at your products, your offers, your services as things that can be returned. Instead, I want you to look at it, looking at it like it's a travel experience or it's a movie. It's something you can't return. Once they pay that money, they're going to have that experience, good, bad, or indifferent. So you need to do whatever you can to make it the best. And when you make it the best, the way to do that is by actually asking them what they want and giving it to them. Crazy idea.
But not even that, like continuing to ask during the process until you have it down. Like when you first start, it's like, what do people need more of, right? So it's like, this is what I started in my Facebook group. It's just like, I just noticed that people are constantly doing challenges or taking courses and no one's doing anything. Why? Because the first portion of it is like you're teaching something and then you're giving them homework, but you're not really teaching. Like, you're like, here, I talked to you about this, now go try to figure it out on your own. I'm like, people go home and like, they're like, what do I do? Like, I don't. So we did, like, we're doing sessions. So like people are jumping on my Zooms. I'm like, what do you need help with? So we built like a couple of chatbots yesterday and worked through a customer journey flow. And it's like actual like doing. And it's like, that's why my accountability, I'm like, I love it. I'm like, just do the stuff. Let's just do it together. Like, let's just get it done and knock it out.
Exactly.
Move on to something else. Be happy in life. Like,
you can't buy your time back.
No, not at all. Not at all. Like, I love it. It's so much fun.
So let's talk about Epiphany Bridge scripts.
Okay.
How have you used this script or Epiphany Bridges in your business or in your customers' businesses?
Oh yeah. Well, you definitely teach that. So you teach, right? Like you show them what you're doing and you say like, hey, go ahead and do this. But you use it across the board, really. So you can use it in your sales script. So like when you're actually like doing your long version, you're kind of selling it, but you use it in social media too. So like when you're doing lives and stuff like that, you're always going to kind of have your backstory. You're going to kind of be like, okay, this is going on, like whatever that thing is that you're focusing on, right? So if it's going into some of the automations with like ManyChat, it could be like, man, like it was so hard to like keep track of people and follow up with them and I would be getting this influx of leads coming in, but I just couldn't follow up with everybody. So like what I decided to do was to use this automation tool. And instead of getting them to just go to my funnel and sign up, after that, they click on a link and sign up for my chatbot sequence. I already have it pre-built out, and it gets me talking to them more. It gets me, and then it's like, and then you're telling them why you're using this automation tool, why that's making the difference. So you can break it down. Like, you have an epiphany for almost everything you do. Like, my big epiphany on why I make my bed in the morning is it makes me feel better. You know what I mean? Like, you can go through like your day-to-day process and share what that big game changer was for you. How did it make that shift in your life? What did it do to change that over? And when you're going live, you generally are going to do that anyways. It becomes so natural. Like, you pick up your phone, you're talking about what you're doing this, you know, on that day, then you're talking about why you're doing it. And you're sharing your steps and your process. You can use it on sales letters and all that stuff as well. I don't write sales copy. If I get people to do that for me, I like this stuff. If I sit down and try to write sales copy, I don't. That was, you know, that's another thing. We talked about finding your who's. Like, man, my backstory. I built so many funnels. I know how to do the design, the back end stuff. I can automate it, connect it. Then I sit there, my wall, and I'm stuck staring at a funnel that I never launched because of the copy. The epiphany was hire somebody to freaking do it for you. And it just, boom, like, right? Like, because you wait and you try, and it's just like, how do I do it? And then the plan was like, okay, this is what I'm looking for. Find my who, test out a couple, and then you have your permanent who, right? The permanent person that you reach out to. And then I achieved with getting it out there. Like, it's, everything has it. Like, no matter what you do, me deciding to homeschool my children, same thing. The epiphany is, I'm not sending them back to COVID. I'm like, we're doing it. And the achievement is, we are about to be a remote family and are leaving our comfort of our apartment and doing Airbnb for a few months and just going to go travel. That's going to be the transformation as well, right? Like, everything has it. And you'll notice when you're talking, you're always going to have the layers. You already do it. You just don't know you're doing it. Yeah. And then it's just figuring out how to dig into it a little bit more, like find those points and just do it over and over again. So when you're trying to sell something, sell you, or discuss or get people to take action, use the story. Are people taking action? Okay, no. Where are you getting, do it again, right? And tweak, yes. So where are they getting hung up at? Or like, watch it, like have somebody videotape, watch your backstory. Are you going too long? Are you really explaining the wall? Are you going into like, so it's just revamping it and going, but everybody does it. Like, there's so many times I can tell Russell's stories now almost by heart because you hear them all the time. Like,
and
every time I'm on something and it's new. Yeah.
Because once you have the framework down, then you can condense it down into a 15-second TikTok. You can expand it to a 90-minute webinar. Like, you can, once you understand the framework and how it works, you see and you can feel, and most importantly, you can experience the magic that it will give you. Like, oh,
yeah. And if you have it taped up like right in front of you, every time you go live, you're like, how am I starting out? My backstory, then my wall. It's like you just go through the steps, and everybody loves a good framework. And then you can make a framework on how the framework helped you out in your business. You're like, you're sharing your story on how the Epiphany, Bridge script like helped you in your business. And you're like, this is how I used it. This is what I did. And then you have an asset now that you get to utilize because you're talking about what you did.
Crazy.
You can make an asset like all the time for anything. It's great.
I like to use the Epiphany Bridge as a way to kind of, as a framework, I guess, for customer testimonials. Because not only do I want to share my epiphanies and the what has brought me across this journey, but I want to tell the stories of my people. Because maybe there's parts of their story that are going to resonate with more of my dream customers than necessarily my story. And so that way it helps me ask the right questions, because we're always asking questions of our people, right? We've gone over this already. Before we build our product, we're asking questions. While we're tweaking our product and we're launching our product, we're asking more questions. After our product, we're asking questions again. What can I do to improve? How can we do this better? And then we're following our customer's journey and asking them questions again of like, What was it like to work with me? Like, what was life like before you got to me? And what
Right.
is it now? And what kind of places along the way? So you can do this in two ways, my friends. You can either just create a script and a framework and a set of questions, maybe a type form page that you're going to send out at the end of your challenge or the end of your course or the end of whatever coaching sessions you have. And it's just a one-time deal. You get the questions. But the best way to do it is to use these questions along that journey the whole way. That way, you are going to get the best epiphany because you're going to get it when it happens. You're going to be able to say, hey, customer who just started with me, this is what your reality is. This is what you're worried about because you're literally telling me this. And then a few weeks later, they have this aha, they have this big moment, and they're commenting in your Facebook group, or they're sending you that excited email, or better yet, they're posting about it on their own pages about how they've had this moment of growth. Capture those, my friends. That is the most, you can't pay for things like that. That is the most powerful piece of social proof you can have, is when someone else has taken on the opportunity to evangelize your brand. Put those pieces together, and now you have the most amazing testimonial you will ever find. Bonus points on top of that, if you're going to send out a film crew to sit down and actually interview them and then slice those all together, high ticket sales off the bat.
Right? It's like, I'm gonna send somebody. For me, I'm like, every time I get off the call, it's like, hey, you do me a favor, would you mind? And I always tell people to ask. But the crazy part is too, like, you can use this for them to sell themselves on your thing, right? So tell me about, where were you before, right? What wall are you currently hitting? What made you realize that this is where you need to be? What was that epiphany that you're like, this is what I'm interested in? And then instead of the achievement, have them looking into the future and their future transformation, so they visualize it.
Yeah.
They're basically selling themselves on the future them. And it's just so many ways. Now I'm just like, can I use this on my children in any way?
Yes, you can. A lot of this you can use on your children.
Yeah. Oh man, it's awesome. And the fact that it's just laid out so simple, and everyone tries to overcomplicate everything.
Yeah.
Simplicity is key. And that's the same thing with what I do. I'm like, what are you doing that's extra? Like, stop that. Don't do that anymore. Like, take it out. And just stop doing this extra. Like, simplify. Follow what's proven, tweak it, and make it your own.
Yeah. I find that a lot of people who are just trying to figure out this whole digital world for themselves, they get distracted by shiny object syndrome, first of all. And then they're trying to model people who are maybe 12, 20, 30, 50 steps ahead of them. And they're comparing themselves to people who have maybe like 30 different products and 6 million followers or something. And then they start to feel like, oh, I'm not good enough, first of all. So cut that out, because you're comparing yourself to someone who has a giant team who's been working on this for years and years. They were once where you are as well. So remember that. But then also when it comes to modeling what, like, other people's funnels and other people's processes and stuff, they don't see everything that's on the back end. So they're just seeing, oh, I got this email from this autoresponder. Oh, they had a chat bot, and they had this and they had that. So you see the bells and whistles, but you don't see the back end of how they actually tie together and how they meet specific objectives. So I remember for myself, that's what I used to do. I was like, oh, lady boss, she's so cool. I'm just going to copy everything she does, but switch it to my niche. And you're like, you end up with this monster, this mess that is so complicated and doesn't actually have a consistent flow. So I love your advice to just step back and go, okay, what do we actually need? What is our objective? Where are we? Where do we want to be? How do we get there? And what actual tangible steps do we need to take to get there? What tools do we need to get there? And then what tools are just extra? And again, that goes down to our bottom line as well, because a lot of these tools we're going to pay a monthly fee for. So do I need to have that subscription just to make it look like I have an automated this, that, or the other? Or is there a better, more financially stable way that we can accomplish that same goal?
Right. And the thing is too, it's like when you look at the old, like that big picture, like of where they are now, you get stuck in taking even the first step because it's so overwhelming. So it's kind of like, okay, what do I need to implement now? What do I need here? And what I tell people, like, I've gone so long, like, no funnel, no websites. Like, I'll create something, like, and I'll help other people with theirs. I'm like, I sell my funnels, building services as far as the technical stuff, and like giving them the insight, mapping it out, and letting them know what they need to do. And they're like, you don't have a funnel? Like, I don't really need a funnel. Like people find me. I'm like, it's what it is. Like, I'll build things when I need them, and that's what it is. It's creating things as you need. So you take the first step, which is, of course, figuring out, which one's not, but start selling it. Just start going, and then add from there. Like, don't go crazy thinking it has to be perfect. Hence, once again, me paying for a WordPress site and then like just like getting rid of it. I was like, no, don't do it. But yeah, comparing yourself to other people. That's why, like, you had Corey on, right? And how Corey talked about, like, yes, go after your Dream 100, but you have to create partnerships with people that are at your level, that are doing what you're doing at the same time, so you can help each other go. And that's also where, like, the accountability aspect of stuff, like, some people just need somebody to talk to and to hold them accountable. And, like, because entrepreneurship can be lonely, like, super lonely. Like, you have to be comfortable asking for help.
Yeah.
Like, you got to do it. Like, when I ask for help, it's just like, you move so much faster. So much faster.
And even especially for people, like, I feel like you and I are kindred souls in the sense that we like to do lots of stuff. We like to learn lots of stuff. We like to get our hands messy. We like to be involved in as many aspects of our business as we can be, but it's recognizing that there are certain things, like both of us, copywriting, not something that ignites me, not something that's going to get me out of bed early in the morning. Like, definitely not something I want to be doing, but understanding that, all right, that's a thing that doesn't excite me, that I'm not amazing at, but there are people who live to write copy and they are fabulous at it. So it's finding those people who can support your endeavor and support the products and the services that you're providing for your people. It's not about being competitive against people. It's not about being like cutting someone's business out or things like that. It's about looking for opportunities that we can grow together and that we can kind of rise the tides together. And that's my favorite part about entrepreneurship, is once you break that barrier and you recognize, like, asking for help and reaching out for other people isn't admitting that you're a failure. It's admitting that you have better talents and you want to spend your time doing something else. It's amazing. There are people who have 7, 8, 9-figure businesses who don't actually do anything with their business. It's completely automated. They have teams to do all of the work, and they just sit back and go, yeah, I like that t-shirt design. Let's do that. And they just enjoy the money and spend the time on the beach or whatever. And
that's the goal in life.
Exactly.
That's the goal.
No matter how big your business is, you can make that your goal. I love it.
Yeah. That's why I tell people, it's like, how do you want your business to go? Like, some of my clients, they are so in their business. So it's like, we start working in the stuff, and then they'll end up being like, they're like, I don't know what to do. I have time. I'm like, what do you want to do? Like, what are you going to enjoy doing? And I'm like, well, working like date nights for their significant others. They're like, how about you get off early on a Friday? I'm like, go do something fun. I have another client that's adding on a whole other income stream because we've automated so much stuff. It's like, they're like, oh, well, I want to do this now too. And I'm like, great. Like, whatever you want. It's your life. Like, what direction are we taking it? Like, we'll get there. Just let me know where you want to go. If you want to be doing it all day yourself, fine. If you want to automate, streamline out, great. Because I know some people that they love it. They're like, I want to be the one doing everything. I'm like, you know what? If that's your entrepreneurship style, we'll make your business like that. Like, if you're just need help with lead gen, we'll work on that process. But if you want to work in it, work in it. If you want to get out of it, let's go. Like, let's create something and let's get you out of the day-to-day. Because me, like, I like waking up. Like, I wake up, I do some stuff in my bed, like on my laptop. I go for my morning 2.5-mile walk. I'll come back. I'll spend some time with my kids. I'll have different things that I do. And then sometimes I'm like working at 10 o'clock at night, but that's because I want to. Because I like the nighttime. Like, that's just I love it. Like, I'll be at my computer, the sun is down, low light, a candle burning, glass of red wine, and I'm just like going. And I'm like, this is so much fun. Headphones in. I'm like, yeah. So you choose your schedule. You choose what you want to do, but you create what you want. And when you first start, it's not going to be all, it's going to be hard. Like it is what it is. But just keep going, because it's like if you quit, really, what are you going to do? Like it's just so just keep going. If you don't like something, move it along and try something else, and then move it along and try something else. There's so many times people saw me posting different things. I'm like, I'm doing this now, this and this, and I'm like, I had no shame. I did not care. I was like, listen, this is what life is like. I'm not going into this built out thing. I'm not like, oh, this is what I'm going to go get a store and I'm going to do all that. No, this is what digital life is like. Like you try things, and if it doesn't work, you have to try something else.
So maybe you can help me settle a debate that's been happening in my community.
Ooh, okay.
Hustle culture. So this idea that we're constantly celebrating the idea of being busy, and that when you have things to do, that means you're being successful. Whether or not, like, we're not actually talking about actually having an impact. We're just talking about hustling and being busy and all. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I hate it. I hate it so much. Well, because the thing is, so once again, you have different kinds of entrepreneurs, right? You have the ones that love that. Like, so I tend to work in male-dominated industries. I always have. Like, even growing up in the restaurants, like I was like one of the first people to work in the back. I was always like, I'm going to do it. When I was in the Army, I was a mechanic. I started working in a logistics company. I was the very first female there. It's always like, yeah, we got to be busy. I'm like, chill, first of all, like calm. But, no, like I like I want to live my life. I have one, like, and my kids are growing up fast. I don't want to hustle. I want to strategize. I want to implement things that are available to me that will take me out of that. Like, why would I hustle if I can use email marketing, chatbots, text messaging, sales funnels, all those different things as resources, as tools to take me out of the hustle? And then, do my people like that I'm helping want to hustle? Do they want to go back and forth with me 20 times trying to book a call, or do they want me to send them a calendar link so I can simplify it? And then after that, send them, like, if anything, here's the next steps, and all. Like, they want their time back. So if you're always hustling, you're basically teaching the people that you're going to be helping that that's all they're going to be doing. And for me, that's not my target. So neither way is wrong. That's the way I view it. I feel like we each choose the route that speaks to us individually. And for me, I want to be on the beach with a pina colada while my business is making money for me. And then I want to take up and I want to do the money-making activities. I want to take part in those things that excite me in the business, but everything else, I don't want to hustle. But you do. Like, the hustling for me is doing the thing. So it's not like the time and the going crazy. It's like, listen, like, you actually have to take action and do stuff. I don't have to do it 24/7 because I'm going to not do that. I don't want to. I'm going to work smarter and not harder. I'm going to evaluate what's taking up my time, and I'm going to streamline it, because that's the way my mind goes. But yeah, so you're the same way as me. You're like, I'm not, right? Like,
I love the hustle. I'm all about the hustle, but I like the hustle when you actually have a path to follow. So I don't like the messy hustle, I like to call it, of like trying to do everything without having a clear objective of how you're actually, this hustle is actually going to impact. So I like to call that messy hustle. And then there's great hustle, which I think is what you're talking about as well. Yeah. Like, once you have a strategy, once you know what actions you actually need to take, doing those actions shouldn't feel like a hustle, but it should be that same energy. So just like we have nervousness, we feel that in our gut, we feel that in our body. And then the other side of nervousness, the exact same biological chemistry that's going on, the other side of that is excitement. It's the exact same thing. We just put a different name on it. So I want you guys to stop thinking about hustle as the same thing. There's dirty hustle, there's messy hustle, there's wasting your time hustle, And then there's putting that energy into really impactful actions. And that's the hustle you want to do. You want to spend your energy on the best way that you can serve your people. You don't need to spend your time figuring out how to do your lead gen and following up on everyone, because there's automation systems you can put into place that are going to do that for you, so that you can spend that same time and energy hustling, but instead you're serving your people. You have systems that can automate. You have VAs who can post on your Facebook if you want. Like, there are people who will take the hustling, the dirty hustle off your plate. They'll do it for you. And then you can serve your people doing whatever it is that you are called to do for your people. Oh, I love it. So how can people get into your world?
There's different ways. Basically, so on pretty much all platforms, I just don't do Twitter or Snapchat. But at the Heather Hargrove. My favorite platforms is, I love TikTok, so it's a beautiful thing for me. I love it. So I'm on there a lot, and I'm on Facebook a lot. So that's my main ones. Of course, I have LinkedIn and Instagram. So I have those. I have the Digital Warrior HQ community. So it's basically digitalwarriorhq.com. It'll take you straight to the Facebook group. And that's where we're taking some action. Like I said, we do like doing stuff. It's basically like, I just want you to do things, providing as much value as possible, and then going from there. And then you can always email me if you like have questions or anything like that. It's hello. So hello at bygrove. That's BYGROVE.com. And that's how you find me. People seem to be able to do I'm like, I'm all over the place. They just find me.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for joining me, Heather. This has been so much fun. Any last words for the world?
Oh, just do it. You're watching this right now and you're sitting there and you're like, man, like that's great because you're doing it, and I'm like, listen, I had no clue what the hell I was doing when I started. Like, none whatsoever. But the more you start going and you take that one step and the next step and the next step, you're gonna just start falling forward. And next thing you know, you are gonna be so happy, and the freeing, like you feel so free, and it's just so much fun. So if you're on the fence, like just go, find an accountability partner if you need help. Like reach out to other people that are feeling like that bring different things to the value. So if you're great at copy and you know somebody that's great at like match up, hold each other accountable, help each other out, and grow together, and just do it.
I love it. I love it. Guys, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Business Building Book Club. That's Heather. I'm Molly, visibilityhacking.com. Come hang out with us. Let's automate your businesses. Let's step you up to the next level. Let's take that brilliant idea you have and bring it into the world so that you can actually change people's lives. Because I tell you guys this all the time. We know that there are big systems that exist in the world, and there's ways that we have been doing things for decades or even centuries. But you know what? If you ever feel that feeling of discomfort, like why does the system have to exist this way? Or that system is built in a way that isn't fair for me, or that isn't serving me in the way that I need to be served. Well, I hate to tell you, but those systems were designed by people just like you. So take that idea, bring it into the world, change the way we do things. It just takes one person's wild idea, and that could be yours. So guys, thank you again for joining me for this episode of the Business Building Book Club. I will see you again next episode, where we will dive back into yet another secret from Russell Brunson's Expert Secrets. Remember to get your copy in the description box below. Absolutely free. Just cover the cost of shipping. Hardcover book. It's great as a projectile, even if you don't find any value in it for some reason. But I promise you, you will. Guys, thanks again for joining me. I'll see you next week. Until then, remember, I love you, and be excellent to each other.